Okay, cool. So we're live on YouTube. Welcome everybody on YouTube. So today's topic I think is extremely important. Raise your hand right now if you have any kind of neck pain. Type a 1 in the comment if you're on Facebook or YouTube and say neck pain, or just type 1 to confirm that there are some people who either have consistent chronic neck pain, they've had neck pain, it's a concerning thing, or they know that there's compression of the nerves in their neck. This is going to be a video for you. Okay, Wendy, great. Thank you. Thank you. So for those who specifically deal with neck issues, you are at a very high risk factor for developing vagus nerve compression problems. It can be really bad. It can get really severe. And of course, we're always taught about, oh yeah, thank you, Chris, and Anna as well. Okay, good. So I see that it's in Shar as well. Yes, thank you. But getting better now because you're in the program. So that's fantastic. But if you have neck compression issues, I want you to imagine a time, maybe it's literally right now, maybe it's in the last day, or maybe it's in the last week, where you were sitting down in a chair and you crossed one leg, usually your left leg or your right leg, but your left leg under your butt, and you just sat your whole body on your leg for more than 30 minutes. And then you had to stand up. What happened to that leg? Was it like, oh, I didn't notice anything. I just sat on my leg for 30 minutes and I just walked right off. If you're like most people, that is not going to be the case. You're going to have stood up and your leg is going to be so covered in pins and needles, tingling. It's going to be numb. It's going to be ticklish. You can't make heads or tails out of what your leg is trying to tell you is going on. And you certainly don't want to put weight on it. Raise your hand or put a 2 in the chat if you're like, yep, I've definitely know the experience of what it's like to literally sit my body's weight on one leg and then wake up with a leg that's gone to sleep. 2 in the chat if that's happened to you. And then also for the people watching replay, absolutely, it's important. Still be involved in this. If you just watch this kind of stuff passively and you just let it come in and out of one ear, but you don't engage in the chat, a lot of it, you're gonna retain only 10% of what I'm teaching you. And I've helped thousands of people restore neck posture. I've helped so many people get back their vagus nerve health by focusing on the neck and not just focusing on just stimulating the vagus nerve, but stimulating the vagus nerve and eating properly and exercising and mindset and stimulating the vagus nerve. There's a lot of ways we can do it. Okay, cool. So we see Wendy, 2, Shar, 2, Chris, 2. Awesome. So this is a human experience. We've all sat on our legs and been like, that sucked. I can't walk. So take that as what specifically happens when a nerve is being pressed up against. When you got that big bully, your big butt, squishing the muscles and the nerves in your leg, cutting off blood flow, cutting off nerve signals and all that kind of stuff. Then, yes, Chris, I will give information, but later. I'm in my flow, honey. Let me go. So when you press your butt up against that nerve, it's going to go numb. So let's think about this for a second, okay? In your neck, if there's any inflammation, your neck is the tightest, most restricted, but most important flow of nerves, of muscle, of ligaments, of blood, of lymphatic fluids, of plasma, of chi energy. It all goes right through your neck. It's your whole big old brain sending signals all the way down to your body, which is also pretty big. So if there's any small compression, even a little bit of constant pressure on the vagus nerve can cause those exact same type of compression issues. So if you have the equivalent of your big butt called your atlas bone rotating and pressing up against your vagus nerve in your neck, and it's doing that not just for 30 minutes. Look, if I sat on my leg for 30 minutes for this whole video, my leg would be in excruciating pain. I wouldn't be able to move my toes. But some of you are walking around with a neck compressing your vagus nerve for 24 hours a day, with maybe you only get 30 minutes of no compression. And that's like the 30 seconds, maybe the 30 minutes you're at the chiropractor or getting traction or getting a massage, right? You're 24 hours minus 30 minutes. And you're like, why is my vagus nerve not working? Could it be that I don't have enough drugs? Do I not have the right pharmaceutical medications to fix this problem? No, that's not at all. Sometimes it's that your neck itself is the biggest risk factor for why your vagus nerve is not working. It's very simple. So what we see oftentimes is when we do work on the neck, when we strengthen the neck, when we give your vagus nerve room to breathe, then the vagus nerve starts to come back online. You start feeling good. But because nobody's ever kind of connected these dots for you, you're like, oh, well, I guess it must be the chi energy of the acupuncture, or my massage therapist must have some magic Reiki that she's putting through her hands. And I'm not saying that that's not true. Maybe your massage therapist is like literally doing magical work on your energy, but it's probably the biggest lasting oh my God, I feel so good from that, is because you literally just took pressure right off of your vagus nerve. And it's like your vagus nerve is learning and getting that blood flow back in it. And here's the other thing. There's a couple reasons why this kind of thing develops. Posture. When we slink down with our posture, we are compressing our vagus nerve so bad. It is so dangerous to do this all the time. And also, if you think about this would almost never happen. I don't think this would ever happen. But let's say that someone sat on their leg for an entire year, 12 months. At the end of the 12 months, do you think, in 30 minutes of sitting on your leg, how many minutes, type in the chat, how many minutes does it take your leg to recover on average if you've sat on your leg for like 30 minutes or 60 minutes on average? Type that in the chat. Does it take you like 3 minutes? Does it take you like 6 minutes till your leg is completely back to normal, right? So type that in the chat. If you were to get to sit your butt on your leg and your leg went numb or tingly, or maybe it's like, how many minutes does it take you to recover? What's the ratio there? 30 minutes of sitting on your leg on average, just estimate. Some of you might be like, okay, like 10 minutes, right? So sharp, 10 minutes for your leg to completely recover. Yeah, it can take some time, right? For me, it's a little bit faster because when I was in high school, I was in track and field. So I believe that my muscles in my legs are pretty dang robust and they provide a lot of that cushioning. But if you have thinner legs or different kind of distribution of weight in your body, it could take longer, right? Anna says 10 minutes. Lori, 5 minutes. Thank you guys for sharing this too. This is cool, interesting data as well to collect. And we're just saying on average. It doesn't have to be scientific here. But whatever your number is, think about that. So if you sat on your leg for 30 minutes and it took you between 5 to 10 minutes for that to fully recover, if you sat on your leg for an entire year, do you think, yes or no, if you sat on your leg for an entire year, would it still only take 5 or 10 minutes to recover? So if 30 minutes right now could give you 10 minutes of numbness and inability to even use your left leg, no, I'm seeing a no, right? That's a good answer, Lori. That's a smart answer. If you were to sit on your leg for an entire year, for 12 months, and then you said, oops, I forgot. I guess you would, this is a hypothetical, but if you did sit on your leg for one whole year and you got up, were you like, well, I guess it's only going to be about 10 minutes till this comes back? No way. Exactly. Char, thank you. So depending on the length of time that you are sitting on your leg, the longer, much longer it's going to take you to recover. And I would actually argue that because of the reduced blood flow and the reduced ability for your neurons to shuttle nutrients up and down those neuron axons, and the compression of that is going to shut up. It's going to literally demyelinate those nerves. Long-term compression of a nerve, a peripheral nerve, is not without consequences, you guys. You guys think like, oh, if I just get a massage on my neck and I feel better, I mean, what's the damage? You know, you're like, this is the same kind of thinking where it's like, well, I ran my car and I didn't get my oil replaced and it still worked. I ran my car for 20,000 miles. I never got my oil checked when it said 3,000 miles like I should have. What's the worst that could happen? I guess at 20,000 miles, if my car starts to make this like gassy, smoky smell and it starts to make this squeaking noise, then the fix is just to put some oil in it again. And then that's going to fix it all of a sudden and undo all the damage. No, if you run a car without putting oil and replacing your oil, and you run it for over those 3,000 miles, the kind of damage those pistons will do to the metal is permanent, long-term damage. And the kind of fixes become far more expensive and way more harmful and risky than if you had just been proactive about it. So the best time to have addressed your neck compression issues was a year ago, 10 years ago, okay? The next best time is right now, today, because demyelination, when we're talking about this, a perfect vagus nerve should be this perfectly round circle, not this big, it's smaller than that, but your vagus nerve should be this perfectly round circle with a grouping of different axons, like a cross section. You know, if you look at it in half, cut the vagus nerve in half and look at it like a hose, right? Don't look right into it because it'll shoot you in the eye. But you should see these clean groupings of smaller circles that are clusters of myelin sheath that wraps around the axon. If you see someone, there's lots of different pictures that you can get of different types of pathologies. Some of the ones that I've been able to see after somebody's actually died, we're talking not like rat vagus nerves. We're not talking about rabbit vagus nerves. We're talking about adult human men and women who have died, and they cut their vagus nerve open to see what it looked like. And when you look at the vagus nerve of someone who is an alcoholic, for instance, okay, their vagus nerve no longer looks like this nice circle filled in, juicy and plump. It looks like a triangle that's been compressed in all ends. And those little nice juicy myelin clusters that wrap around like gift packaging your axons and protect it and enable like signals to go up and down it cleanly, all those are stripped away and they look like they're decaying in your body. And that's the only thing that differentiated the healthy vagus nerve from the unhealthy vagus nerve was overconsumption. And actually, there's no safe amount of alcohol that you can consume. These happen to be more extreme cases. But if you look at a healthy person's vagus nerve and go, gosh, I would love to be in that person's shoes. They get hungry. They maintain weight. They have good energy. They have good emotional regulation. They sleep deeply. They dream still. They don't have insomnia. They can poop. They don't have gastroparesis. They don't have gastric reflux all the time. They're not depressed. They're not anxious. That's what that nice, big, juicy vagus nerve looks like. And then you look at the has anybody met an alcoholic? Has any of you encountered a person who is a multi-decade drinker who has a bad habit? Put a 3 in the chat. Type a 3 in the chat if you have ever encountered someone who is a clear alcoholic. Okay, I'm going to describe some of the features to you that you might have noticed would be directly result in, not because of the alcohol, but because of the damage to their vagus nerve that they had. Okay, so we see definitely we've got some 3s. We got somebody who said, I had to live with one. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I have some of that in my family history as well. That is unfortunate. We got another 3. Okay, good. So we got a couple 3s here. So you've seen this. Now, everybody knows the kind of vision of what an alcoholic, how they behave. They're quick to anger, right? They're not compassionate. They're not empathetic. They don't give a crud about your emotional well-being at all. And it's likely because the damage done to their vagus nerve from consuming alcohol that's going down and sitting in their esophagus, which is right next to your vagus nerve. And this is where the demyelination happens, right in the core. This is the core zone of your vagus nerve, right here in your neck. That's why all those devices are trying to stimulate your vagus nerve. There's a war on for your neck, not a war on for your mind. It's your neck. There's a war on, and from a bigger perspective, on your vagus nerve. And that's the most terrifying thing, okay? The war is not on your mind. What does a corporation need with your goddamn mind, okay? You think you're smart? Do you think any corporation needs your brain power? No. They need to control your vagus nerve so they can control your eating habits, your emotional reactivity, your dreams. There's a war on for your vagus nerve more than there's a war on for your mind, okay? So an alcoholic would be either depressed, anxious, insomniac, either would gain weight or lose extreme amounts of weight. You never see a very, I guess you can see kind of maybe standardized weights, but these people have reflux issues. They have digestion issues, constipation, diarrhea. Should I go on? Incontinence, erectile dysfunction, sexual incontinence. These are hormonal dysregulation. Those would all be downstream of having consumed so much alcohol. No amount of alcohol is safe, though, just so you know. If you read that article that said 1 glass of wine a night is good for you, you got duped. That's fake news completely. That's misinformation 100%. If we're going to claim misinformation, that was probably sponsored by some Napa Valley Winery Association. That's how do we get these doofuses to start drinking more alcohol? Let's make a published paper that says drinking alcohol every night is good for your heart health. No, it's not. It's not. If you tracked your vagus nerve after drinking, you would show your vagus nerve turns off. Your vagus nerve turns off when you're drinking. So lifelong alcoholism has a very tragic effect. So what does that have to do with your neck health? Well, given that your vagus nerve and the atlas bone is just about a few inches up from where all that alcohol would be touching, the same type of demyelination is going to happen from you having bad posture, from you doing this, or even if it's not your fault, right? Because his posture is bad posture your fault, maybe, I don't know. Nature, nurture, who cares, right? Doesn't really matter at this point in time. It matters. It's does it matter 5%? It matters. 95% of what it matters is, okay, so you're here and what are you going to do about it now? Okay. So if you have neck pain, neck strain, bad posture, if you've got one of those big humps on the back of your neck, you know how some people, they have this big bulge right here in the very back of your neck, and you're like, how the hell did that develop? That's a big indication that you're going to have some knuckle ligament instability and your vagus nerve is going to be compressed. It always happens. So any kind of neck issue should be taken not only as, my neck is in pain, there's something wrong with my neck, but Sterling told me this is a high likelihood of a compression factor on top of my vagus nerve, and compression of peripheral nerves long term equals what? Can anybody, I'll give bonus points to what happens if you compress a peripheral nerve for a long time. What is the gradual progression? I said it earlier a couple times. It starts with a D. D-E, what? What is the thing we need? Yes, Chris, if you have straight neck, that's also going to cause compression. Unless you have that perfect curvature in your neck, your atlas bone is going to be subluxed. Your head and your neck were not meant to sit on a straight neck. Facts. Okay? So I don't see any guesses yet, but I'll tell you what it is. It's called demyelination. Demyelination. There's some web page on Facebook. I'm trying to type it into the chat. Demyelination. Okay, I can't even type it in there. demyelination. Okay, that's the root of it. So yes, Chris, absolutely. If you have a straight neck, you're gonna get totally whacked. And so tomorrow, what I'm gonna do, I didn't have time to put it together today, but tomorrow is gonna be part 2, and we're gonna continue talking, right? We're not done yet, but tomorrow I'm going to put into the chat a link to get a PDF for free. I'm not asking for any money here. A PDF of the specific tools that you can use to start correcting for neck compression issues. And it will talk about what specific types of neck compression there are. I want to first teach you the specifics of what are the specific types of neck compression issues that you can have, so you know what to look for tomorrow in our talk. But first, we just need to bring the awareness up, okay? So if you have neck compression issues, it's compressing against your vagus nerve. It's going to cause demyelination. Yeah, Adam, thank you for that. Yeah, so there's absolutely a lot of stuff that can be done here. So we'll talk about a lot of more specifics tomorrow in a document. But so let's talk about the atlas bone in particular. So the atlas bone is your C1 atlas vertebrae. That sits directly under your skull. The atlas bone is named that way because it's like the Greek Roman god that had the entire world sitting on its shoulders. Okay, so it's kind of like the atlas bone has your entire dome of pressure sitting on it. Now, if that rolls forward or back, it's called a subluxation. If it rotates, there's kind of an orthogonal capacity. So your atlas bone can rotate left or right on a central axis like a point, but it can also rotate backwards and forward. And it has to be specifically seated at a proper way. The best way, if you want, so I'm a big fan of you can improve that which you can measure. I can sit here and talk about 5 degrees, 3 degrees, subluxation, rotation, till the cows come home. But the best thing that you're going to be able to get to measure your neck is going to be x-rays. So if you haven't yet gotten x-rays of your neck, you absolutely need to do that. You need to go get some of these... you need to go to either a chiropractic, atlas orthogonal, knuckle, whatever. And I'll talk about, certainly have that in the documentation tomorrow on the PDF of what are the names of the types of specialists that you can go see to have them help you with this specifically, right? Now, getting down to an x-ray will show you in your neck, either there's a curvature that's proper, that your neck is straight, you have military neck, or you can actually have an inverted neck curvature. And that's the kind of neck that I developed after having a car accident in 2016. The neck issues that I developed were so severe that it compressed the nerve that allowed me to hold my neck properly. So it wasn't a matter of I just had bad habits or bad pressure or bad posture in my head and neck. It was really that the damage from the whiplash of my car accident squeezed the nerve, the accessory nerve, which is cranial nerve number 9, and it made the muscles that hold the rigging of your neck unable to activate properly, and it allowed my whole neck, my whole spine, my cervical spine to start taking on an inverse curve. So it wasn't that my grandma didn't drill into me enough. Hey, sit up straight, posture. She did. And I had really good posture up until this car accident. And then nerves got damaged, and then my neck wasn't able to support itself properly, which then led to compression issues on more specific issues down the line. So it doesn't always have to, I'm not saying this is your fault or anything like that. This could be completely a result of any other thing. Another risk case could be, let's go even further out from if there's specifically physical damage that can happen to the neck, to the nerves, what other things can affect the nerves that support your neck and head posture? Well, things like Lyme disease, COVID, herpes zoster virus, HPV, whatever, any kind of a bacterial or viral infection in the body can actually affect cranial nerves like the vagus nerve and the accessory nerve. So you could actually develop neck compression issues from an infection that you got 10 years ago, because the best place, the juiciest place for a virus or a bacteria to try and get into is going to be your vagus nerve. That is the place where it wants to be. It is the golden shining castle on the top of the hill. And it's ironic because the vagus nerve regulates your immune system, but your vagus nerve knows how to prevent your immune system from attacking the vagus nerve. Because if your vagus nerve attacked its own vagus nerve, you would be totally screwed. I mean, imagine how bad that would be. We already know that humans have a pretty robust immune system, right? Right? You know about autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune conditions develop when the vagus nerve almost gets so put offline that the entire immune system says red alert. It's kind of like in the Cold War, you heard these stories of these bunkers that exist like a mile underground, where there's just a few people living year after year from the military. And just in case there's a thermonuclear war that wipes out the entire United States military command, that these guys in the bunker still have the ability to launch the nukes. Okay? So that same type of thing happens when the vagus nerve is put offline. Vagus nerve is master commander of your immune system. And if the vagus nerve gets impacted or pinched or destroyed from COVID or from neck injury or whatever, then your immune system says, oh shit, it's thermonuclear war time. Let's go, boys. And then it starts ranging attacks on everything. And that's what an autoimmune condition really is. An autoimmune condition is when your body starts to just attack everything in sight. Okay? So, but your vagus nerve has built-in protection mechanisms so that the immune system doesn't, at least the vagus nerve has some protection from autoimmune conditions. There are very rare autoimmune conditions that will attack your vagus nerve specifically, because your vagus nerve is a different type of nerve. Your vagus nerve is a different breed of creature in and of itself. So it has built-in protections, because it'd be like, like rats chewing their own tail to, do something, right? It's not a good idea. So that makes the vagus nerve the best place for a bacteria or a viral infection to make its own host. And if you are doing things to hurt your vagus nerve, to draw down the vagus nerve health, you limit severely the ability of your vagus nerve to fight back from the inside out. Okay? So that means, like I said, drinking alcohol will make you so susceptible to a viral attack inside of your vagus nerve. That's why, how many people who drink a lot are like, oh my God, I got the worst cold in my life. I got the worst flu in my life. Oh my God, I got so sick this weekend. Ugh. Like, it's just in the activity itself. The first time you ever drank, you puked. Vagus nerve is what controls your puking response. So you're triggering it through alcohol, you're overstimulating it, and then you're stripping the myelin right off. You're stripping the meat off of the bone when you drink alcohol. And when you compress your vagus nerve because of neck issues that you're like, it's just neck issues, I'll just take some Aleve, you are setting yourself up for big time problems. So that's another, again, to take us back from that detour here, is that it's not just, I had a whiplash 10 years ago, and I think that damaged my nerves, and that's caused compression issues. It's also a bacterial infection or a viral infection in your vagus nerve is also affecting the vagus nerve and also affecting your accessory nerve, which is causing the compression issues. And then that compounds the vagus nerve issues. You guys see how this can get so bad? This is why when you have to deal with this kind of stuff, if somebody is 22 years old and they initially have some problems with their vagus nerve, the fixes can be as simple as just gargle some water every day, homie. It's going to be fine. But then those are the ones writing the mommy blogs about, the vagus nerve, it's so simple. Don't listen to these guys like Sterling who's trying to overcomplicate things and tell you about, that there's a mindset component to your vagus nerve, that you have to strengthen your neck. He's making it so complex that you have to stimulate your vagus nerve with some kind of a device. in worst case scenario, or that food doesn't have anything to do with your vagus nerve. Are you kidding me? These are mommy bloggers that are 22-year-old, 23-year-old trad wives, wannabes on Instagram with that their issues are fixable. But once you get this domino effect of, well, yeah, you had an initial injury that you didn't think was a vagus nerve thing. That compressed your vagus nerve physically, which then deteriorated your immune system in your vagus nerve, led host for bacteria and viruses. Again, you get this leapfrog thing, and then you come to me at the age of 50 and you're like, what's the simplest thing I can do to fix this? I've been sick for the last decade, and I heard that if I gargle water, I'm going to be fine. And I'm not mad at you for believing that. I'm mad at the people who are sharing that bullshit, that it's like some oh yeah, just gargle. It's like, easy, dude. I've actually worked with clients who have really severe, decade-long injuries and fixed them, thank God. But it wasn't because I was like, hey, hun, just gargle, right? Char, if you're still here, Charlene is a client of ours. What was the fix? Just did I just tell you to gargle or something like that? Was it just something simple? Was it something that anything that I recommended, was anything that I recommended to you specifically something that you could have ever seen on a mommy blog on the 10 top tips for stimulating your vagus nerve? And do you think now knowing what you did, right? Now knowing what you did back then, would gargling or humming would have fixed the issues that you had? I don't think so, right? Right. Yeah. So what we did is way, way different than the top 10 mommy blog, drink some celery juice kind of stuff. Okay? Exactly. So when the issue gets to a point, it is when it becomes, you have to address this from multiple different angles. You have to approach it from a diverse perspective. Okay? And why we're doing a group called Vagus Nerve Stimulation and Repair is because if your vagus nerve got messed up, your neck is going to have gotten messed up too, because it's in the exact same area of your brain stem that controls your head posture. Did you know that for some of my clients, we actually hooked them up with a virtual reality physical therapy headset, a VR headset. And as part of retraining the vagus nerve, we actually have to have them following specific protocols that re-engage the accessory nerve and the muscles in their head. I'm moving my head and up because the VR gives them specific degrees of movement called saccades, up and down, left and right. And that by doing that, you rehabilitate your vagus nerve too. Your vagus nerve and your head movement are like neighbors. It'd be like, oh, my neighbor's house is completely on fire and engulfed in flames, but I'm probably going to be fine. Oh, my neck's completely messed up, but how could my vagus nerve also be messed up? I'm going to be fine. No, if your vagus nerve is messed up, your neck is next. And if your neck is messed up, your vagus nerve is next. And you're probably already, if you're here in this Facebook group, for God's sakes, you're probably already well past that. You're probably like, oh, I'm way past that. I have neck pain daily. I have voice speaking problems. I can't swallow. I can't digest food. I feel nauseous all the time. I have gastroparesis. I have diarrhea. I have constipation. I'm depressed. I'm miserable. I can't sleep. I've never had a dream in the last 10 years. You're way far down that line. You're way down that line, right? And no mommy blog is going to fix that for you, okay? Right? And I don't know why they don't. Why don't they? And I think, why would you find the lamest, easiest to write 10? These are the 10 top tips to stimulating your vagus nerve. Drink celery juice. Hum. Try karaoke. This is not going to do it. This is not going to do it. For the vast majority of people that I actually encounter who have really bad health issues, get the out of here. Yeah, Chris, yes, absolutely. It would cause heart palpitations too. Your vagus nerve on the right side goes right down to your cardiac plexus. It's 100% what's regulating your heart beating if you're actually healthy. So yeah, guys, so many of these issues, right? And if you guys look again here, some of you may not know, but we do have a page, symptoms of vagus nerve dysfunction. I'm going to type that here in the chat. vegushub.com/symptoms. It's a free, here, just dysfunction. Okay. Yeah. So symptoms of vagus nerve dysfunction. And then I'm going to put that in the chat. So later on, but just so you know, there is a blog post on our website, vegushub.com. That's the website that I run, own, and operate myself. And we've got lots of good resources there. vegushub.com/symptoms. It's going to list out not only the anatomy of the vagus nerve, the function of the vagus nerve, how to check your vagus nerve. You can literally look at your uvula and go, and see if it deviates one side or the other, or if it stays still. And then you can read a whole list of, I have palpitations. Is that a vagus nerve? Yes. I'm kind of depressed. Yes. I can't sleep. Yes. I have some insomnia. Yes. I have gastroparesis. Yes. It's going to tell you specifically what all the things are. So I would just really encourage you guys to go there and actually just check. Like, that's a full-on list. This is from like, we're talking about 6 years of my involvement in the vagus nerve specifically, okay? 6 years is either a lot or a little bit of time, okay? But 6 years to be doing this full time is a lot of time. And it's actually been 12 years of doing work in the vagus, not in the vagus nerve specifically, but in neural stimulation technology, in treating pathologies of neurodegeneration. So my work started in treating depression with ultrasound stimulation to the brain. And then it went to depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's and dementia, wellness applications. Then it took a detour into looking at the usage of ultrasound to stimulate the brain to treat spiritual depression, what you might call getting someone to become awakened or enlightened, which is some pretty fantastic stuff. I do have a link for that too. If you do, we have some fantastic resources on that, but you do have to sign up for our, it's a 4-day quick campaign. If you want to learn more about that work that we do with ultrasound stimulation of the brain to induce states of awakening, enlightenment, out of the topic today, but I'm really excited about the work I get to do. So I'll just share that, but you will have to opt in for that page. It is fantastic. And it is actually part of my work. It's called Phase 3. But yeah, that's pretty badass work. And you can actually hear interviews with our team and all that stuff. You just share your name and your email, and it'll teach you the secrets of what we've learned after 12 years of stimulating the human brain with ultrasound. Now, anyway, back to the subject at hand, compression of the vagus nerve causing issues and how to stop it from getting worse. So if you have all of these issues, okay. So thank you. I see there's some comments. I just want to catch up. Okay. So Christine, my dreams came back and my sleep has improved 100%, but my depression, anxiety, and anger has not improved. I'm tired of living in constant fight or flight. Yeah. So something with the handoff between your vagus nerve and your sympathetic vagus nerve is not happening basically. So, something to look at. Chris says, I'm healthy according to doctor's tests, but have so many of these symptoms you mentioned. Yeah, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, all my tests came back completely normal, but I still feel like complete garbage, and then we said, well, what if we tried just stimulating your vagus nerve and then they get better? I would have a lot of dollars, okay? A lot of dollars. So definitely something to look into. Chris, if you haven't registered for our 5-day challenge in 2 weeks, definitely do that. Anna, intracranial hypertension. That's a tough one. There can be a lot of issues from that, but could vagus nerve stimulation relieve intracranial hypertension? If it were a blood flow related issue, or if it was, do you have POTS? I mean, there's a couple questions I need to ask. Intracranial hypertension is not a very precise diagnosis specifically. I mean, I know the symptoms, but it depends. It depends. But I mean, again, look, gosh, do you know how we figured out that vagus nerve stimulation treats depression? They just threw a VNS into a person with depression, and then we're like, damn, that worked. So if you have intracranial hypertension, why not try? And back in 2006, the only way you could get a VNS was to get it implanted. Nowadays, we have all kinds of tools that can stimulate it. So I would say find yourself a good tool, find yourself a good, program or protocol or whatever to follow, and then just do it. Especially, that's how they discovered all this stuff. I would just say go for it. Just do it. That's what I would say. Legit. So Christine, I was already fully activated in 2013, but I'm all blocked up now. It sucks. Totally sucks. Yeah, you have no trust anymore. Yeah, that would be kind of connected to, your vagus nerve allows you to connect and flow, and there's all kinds of things that the vagus nerve does that can be taken offline when it's damaged. So that totally makes sense. It's a completely natural thing to happen. Christine, very sorry that happened. But let's kind of get back to the next stuff. So as I promised, today is going to be part 1. Tomorrow part 2 is going to be practical stuff that you can start doing. And look, in the document, I have the document ready today. But I just wanted to kind of do some updates. There's a specific piece of equipment that was only made available in the last few months that didn't make it onto the document. So trust me, you'll be way better served to get the document tomorrow. I promise you, this is not a marketing thing. I don't even care if you guys get this. What I care about is if you sign up for the 5-day challenge. That's the main thing I'm pushing this week. Anyway, so I don't make any money off of any of this stuff for, this is all free. So I would just suggest set your timer for tomorrow. I have to update the document. There's a fantastic neck. It's called the thoracic counterweight device that just came on market just about 3 months ago. I wrote the document about a year ago. It's still really good. It's going to talk about different ways to help you decompress the neck properly with some really good, we're talking about a range of devices, a range of small things that you should always have. Everybody should have this stuff, okay? If you're like, my neck's fine, but you're like 50, I'm like, still get it. Because your neck gets weaker over time. You get bone spurs, right? The kind of stuff, I'm just going to tell you that age gets us all, okay? Unless there's really not many good protocols that we know of right now that can stop or reverse aging. Now, there are some things that you can do to reverse aging, chronological age. There's some fantastic stuff. We'll probably talk about this in maybe a few days from now, right? It's a big area of interest. But for right now, if you're like, well, I'm just kind of sort of interested in this, you definitely have to check out the guide because it's going to include neck traction technology, neck traction devices, all things that are between $9 to $20 on Amazon. That's going to be the range of prices that I'm going to give you in this document. By using this one document, you'll probably save yourself thousands of dollars in spending on chiropractic, massage, acupuncture. Still get those things because those are beautiful, but you won't become so dependent on them. So that's my sales pitch for you to come back tomorrow and watch for part 2 on the neck compression stuff because I think it's really important. And so anyway, there's a range of specific things that really screw up your neck, and they will screw up your vagus nerve, and they will demyelinate your vagus nerve. And the demyelination thing is an aspect that we will have to cover in a completely different video. But for right now, here's the first thing you need to start doing in terms of your neck. You need to get the pressure off of your vagus nerve as soon as possible. You need to think, how do I relax my neck? How do I get the pain to go away? Because definitely pain is an indication of something deeper and more bad. If you're you could have no pain and there could be something horrifically bad happening in your neck. And that happens all the time. Just because you don't have pain or dizziness or anything like that coming from your neck or crunching or cracking from your neck movements, doesn't mean that there's some kind of a really bad storm brewing and developing. I just want to give you warning because you might look at me and be like, this is some young, fresh-faced kid. But, I consider myself a vagus nerve coach. And what I do is I work specifically, generally speaking, 95% with female clients who are in the ages of 40, 50, 60, 70, who are at that zone where they've bounced back and forth between many co-risk factors of vagus nerve damage, and that they can't just follow the typical, mommy blogger 10-point top 10 list of drink lemon juice and sing and just go and dance and frolic and be fun, and then your vagus nerve will be healed all of a sudden. I deal with the kind of people who are like, my uncle raped me when I was 4 years old. I was beaten half to death when I was 18. I was gang raped at 23. I was impregnated at 24 by my husband who divorced me. My second husband got married me, but then tried to commit suicide and left me with the 2 children, but he survived and he was paralyzed from the neck down. So I had to take care of his ass for 14 years. And then I developed gastroparesis, depression. I look like I'm 80, but I'm really 50. Can you help me, Sterling, please? I've tried singing and humming and gargling and dancing and frolicking in the sunlight, and that's just not working. Okay. And I go, yeah, hun, we got you. Like, we're going to use some medical technology on you. Okay. We're going to take stuff from the medical field and be practical and really give you some solutions. And that is literally the actual story of a client that I had in 2019. And guess what? Her neck was so fucked up too. But her neck was the least of her worries, but we worked on her neck as well as her vagus nerve, as well as her digestion, as well as her supplementation, her food, her mindset. We did a couple of different things. If you ever sign up with a coaching program for me, and the very first start here video isn't, apply the stimulator right to your neck immediately for 2 minutes right before bed and enjoy great dreams, great sleep, and we'll start to work on that, and let's do a call. If my advice isn't there, something like I probably had a micro stroke, right? Because if you're going to work with me, if it's that important for you to work with a human being with technology, you're not the kind of person who's like, oh, you would have been fixed with humming or gargling. Like, for Christ's sake, like, just get out of here. Yeah. And, as well, Shar is here. So I'll read her comment. I'm absolutely 100% being healed working with Sterling after 10 years of extreme neck pain / anxiety and other issues. Life is good with VNS. Thankful I did the 5-day challenge last time. Great. And she's not being paid to say that. I didn't ask her to say that or anything like that. She just unprompted to say that. She's legitimately excited about VNS, and I'm not trying to sell you a piece of tech. I'm just trying to get you on board with what is the amazing stuff that can happen if you focus on your vagus nerve. Because look, the whole health and wellness world is just noise and noise and noise. It's just static and bullshit. It's like, try this magic super pill, try this new probiotic, try this. And I'm like, dude, 80% of those things that are being sold to you, the mechanism of action is working on the vagus nerve. They're just trying to like abstract to say that it's not the vagus nerve. I'm comfortable just saying, look, it's your vagus nerve that is controlling these processes. It 100% is. Fact, right? This is backed up by research, okay? And this is going to, don't be upset with me, Shar, but guys, if you want to actually talk to Shar, she would be more than happy to just say like, hey, like, this is a real person. This is not like a sock account. This is not like a bot account that I'm running or anything like that. She's a real person. She's got a beautiful life. She's got a beautiful, like, amazing energy. She's really just a fantastic person. And if you just want to like send her a message and be like, hey, is this real? Like, are you legit? Are you actually getting results? What were your problems before? And how did you sign up for Sterling's program? Just ask her. She'll be more than happy to direct you in the right direction. If you do want to consider signing up for the 5-day challenge, which is exactly how Charlene came into our circle. She was in our I believe Charlene was actually in our Facebook group for like maybe over a year. And she was just like, you know what? This sounds a little too good to be true, that this fresh-faced, handsome young man could even know how to help people with their health or anything like that. What could he know about this? And so she waited a whole year, and then she joined the 5-day challenge in April. And from the 5-day challenge, from day one, she was like, oh my God, this practice that we did on day one, I finally started to feel what you've been talking about. So I'm going to go to day 2. That was the only decision I asked them to make. I said, guys, Day 1 of the 5-day challenge, that's all I'm asking you to do, is just show up for that. One day. You don't have to do the full 5 days. If day 1 of the 5-day challenge sucks, if I let you down, if I disappoint you on day 1 of the 5-day challenge, don't show up to the other days. Or do. I mean, you'll benefit. You'll certainly benefit, because all 5 days are intentionally designed to be like bam, 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 cover you from every different angle. We cover so much in the 5-day challenge. It's fantastic. And I encourage you to take notes. We provide homework. We provide resources, guidance, reminders, everything. And it happens over on a different Facebook group from this one. So it's literally a 5-day challenge specific, focused, small Facebook group just for the challenge specifically. I go live just like I'm doing right now. So if you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to use the technology. Like if you're watching me right now, you already know everything you already need to know about how to join the 5-day challenge. It's exactly the same thing. Unless you're on YouTube, then you have to come over to Facebook and join us here, okay? I know you're like, I don't like Facebook. I'm like, I don't care. Facebook's fantastic. We got some great people here on Facebook. But I am streaming live to YouTube, but I will be ending it soon on YouTube just to not go too long. But yeah, so Chris, absolutely, Chris, it's the 5-day challenge. I'll put the link here again, vegasup.com/5day. And guys, if you're watching this and you're like, I would say if you are compelled to do it and you want to learn and you want to get the kind of help that we provide, potentially, this is not a sales pitch. The 5-day challenge is just, sure, could you just do the 5-day challenge and never work with me again and be like, that was still really valuable? Say yes, if that's true. Only if that's true. Could you just do the 5-day challenge and then never interact with me again for the rest of your life and be like, I still made tangible benefits. I still got some tangible benefits in my health. I learned some new things. That was definitely worth it. And you would regret having not done that. Okay, yes, exactly, right? I'm not, see, no hands. I didn't type that. That's Shar. She's great. She's here on Facebook. So yeah, the 5-day challenge is literally intended to be alone, like a solid, solo, independent thing from anything else I do, as a space to get people like hardcore, immersive, back-to-back day training so we can teach you about how this all works. So definitely sign up for that. If you want to, again, consider that due to the importance of your vagus nerve and due to the potential for neck compression to really exacerbate more and more vagal issues over. And it's like, look, guys, these kinds of things can develop over 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years or longer. And if you're like, you know what, Sterling, in my heart of hearts, I kind of know that 10 top list from that mommy blog about drinking green juice isn't really going to fix these issues, Because look, did you know that vagus nerve stimulation, the technology, it's a technology that you go to a neurologist for, that it's implanted in certain patients who have severe epilepsy, who between 6 to 20 times per day drop to the ground, their eyes go wide open, their mouth opens, and they start violently shaking. It's called epilepsy. Now, how fucked in the head would you be to go up to a patient who has severe epilepsy and say, hey, have you tried humming? Have you tried sticking your tongue, your finger in the back of your throat to induce gagging? I heard it was good on a fucking mommy blog from a 24-year-old influencer on Instagram. Oh, have you? Oh, I see you're actually in the midst of a violent seizure. Have you tried celery juice? No, fucking hell, dude. So yeah, I mean, this does kind of piss me off that, people talk to me like I'm making it so much more confusing than it has to be. It's simple. You just got to get your chakras balanced, or you just got to be grateful every day. I'm like, you can't be grateful if your vagus nerve isn't working. It's not a chicken or an egg thing. I can guarantee you that. If I were to put you in a situation that was beautiful and your vagus nerve was literally being pinched or cut, you wouldn't feel anything. You wouldn't feel any emotions. So it's not just like, well, just feel more emotions. Your vagus nerve doesn't work. You can't feel it. So that's where we're at here, guys. Anyway, so cool. All right, end of rant. You guys, I know you love my rants. I feel like I'm like a health Alex Jones or something like that. Fuck, that's a bad branding. That's a bad branding move to be into. They're turning the freaking frogs into the vagus nerve. All right, so anyway. All right, so we're here now at closing for YouTube. YouTube people, join us again tomorrow for part 2. And as I promised, like I said, I'm not a slacker here. I give away like probably 10 guides every year, like 10 full written up guides for free that I could probably charge like 10, 20, 50 bucks for. I'm just like, fuck it. You know what? I'm just going to give those away, because if I help people and they never work with me, then the world's a better it's a better place. Truly. So tomorrow I'm going to be giving away an updated guide with a specific piece of equipment that actually I even use, that now was only available by prescription only, but I figured out a way to reverse engineer it for basically next to nothing that you can buy on Amazon tomorrow. But I need to put the documentation ready. And now here's my warning to you. My Facebook group is 23,000 plus people. We're actually just about to hit 24,000 in the next week. Okay. Every time that I put out one of these guides, I have about 300 people begging me, give me the guide. Okay. So if you slack on this, if you wait on this, if you're like, I'll just put it in my cart and get it in like 2 weeks or whatever. It's a specific thing that you wear on your neck, like a necklace, and you have a weight that goes in front of you, and it actually pulls your neck into the right posture. It's amazing. It's like genius. It's genius. Okay. And it's way cheaper than all of the kinds of other, crap that you'll find on the internet. It's something that I personally use, something that we prescribe to our clients oftentimes if they upgrade to the VR headset option. But I'm going to include the specific product in there. It's something you can get on Amazon for nothing. But if you wait, if you slack on this, it will 100% go out of stock. We've seen this happen a lot. So I'm just giving you a full-on solid warning. I'm going to help somebody else on Amazon make money. Okay. If I see any benefit from it, it'll be like 2 pennies. I don't make any money off of Amazon. It's a bullshit thing. I'm just warning you, clients or people who work with me or people who focus on their neck, don't slack on the guide tomorrow. Be here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll make an announcement. We'll have a scheduled call and we'll go live then. Okay. All right. So thanks so much, everybody on YouTube. Thank you. Bye. See you later. We're done on YouTube. And then we're back